future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa. Radio.com.
And welcome. My name is Dr. Marissa, also known as the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura, and you're listening to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon on your phone or computer, exclusively at www.ubn Radio. That's Universal Broadcasting Network. And for those of you who are tuning into the show for the first time, this is a show about hope and how to tune into your own reality show called Life and be happy 88% of the time. So this show tackles real-life questions of the week that can help us be happy. As with many past Oprah guests like Don Miguel Ruiz, Fran Drescher, Melody Beattie, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, Dr. Pat Allen, and Dr. John Gray, with wisdom about life realities like how to live our fullest life, reduce our risk of cancer, how to make our relationships work, and find joy in helping others. You can download their free podcast from iTunes or directly at ubnradio.com. And since this is the last week of the month, I am continuing my special life balance coaching process with Chris, who asked for my help when his life was blocked from past pain after being abused by a priest in his teens. We don't like to hear about abuse. It's dark and ugly. As of May 2013, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops has counted 16,975 individuals who have alleged that they were abused as minors by priests. The organization SNAP, Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests, has over 12,000 members. It's not comfortable hearing the numbers or the stories, so why do I talk about it on the air? Because if we can bring it into the light and heal from it and take the courageous steps to make changes at all levels, then it will not continue to repeat itself. I'm grateful to have had many listeners thank Chris and my show for not sensationalizing abuse from the church, but to focus on healing from it. For the first four of 8 sessions are all available now as free iTunes podcasts. So if you know of anyone in the same or similar situation, they can know that they are not alone and can use the life balance coaching process to heal along with Chris. We're now on session 5, so please help me welcome Chris back to the studio. Welcome back, Chris.
Thank you, Marissa.
And this is session 5, and we're halfway through, and you have learned a plethora of life balance tools to help you out. And we've dealt with your view and reframe Father's Day for you. We've viewed your role as a father and a good father, no matter what, at 88%. We've looked at your relationship with your wife that's changing, that's coming to an end of a chapter and opening a new one. We've looked at your career and how you thought you didn't have a job, but actually you do have a job, and very important work that you're doing to put a bill in front of the legislation and to make some changes so that other people who have had abuse in their past by the church can come to a resolution around their own healing, both in terms of healing with you on the air and becoming involved, if they'd like, with your legislation and the fight for that bill.
Right.
So that's where we've been. And take a deep breath. Last session, I gave you some homework, and I actually met with you sort of unofficially when you were kind enough to take me back from the airport when I got back from Brazil.
Right.
And you wanted to share kind of a brief synopsis of the mini session we had.
Right.
So go ahead.
I think I sent you a text referencing that as like a good kick in the butt. That I had not been doing my homework, and I can report back to you that starting the next day, I don't know why I didn't do it that night, but starting the next day, being the kind of person that I am, I exercised. I did 9 walks in 5 days, 2 hours round trip each time.
Wonderful.
And I journaled each day. And if I did miss a day, I made up for it the next day, recapping what happened the day before and catching up with what was going on at that moment before I finished that evening of journaling. I journal I try to journal in the evening before I go to bed, and then I try to just have some quiet time before I turn the television off. My cat lays in bed with me. I give him a couple of treats and he lays down, and then I find myself waking up at 5 or 6 in the morning and getting dressed and going for my walk, and starting my day off with prayer, as was suggested by you, and
meditation,
and a little meditation. I find that while I'm on my walk is where I really do most
Moving
of my
meditation.
meditation, while I'm listening to either a meditation CD that I've downloaded on my iPod or to worship music that I like to listen to. I've found that the bill that I'm working on.
Take a deep breath. I just want to take a break for a second and just acknowledge something.
Okay.
This will be on YouTube as a taped session, so people can actually see the difference between session 4 and session 5.
Okay.
So if you're listening to this now, I want you to go and if you haven't already listened to it or watch it, go and look at session 4 and look at the way Chris looks. And then I left him for 3 weeks while I was in Brazil on the peace trip, and now look at him. You look completely different. You have the color in your face, the color of your eyes, the way that you're smiling, like a natural. And I re-listened to some of our old sessions, and you mentioned if you're happy, let your face know. And you definitely have let your face know, because there's a lightness about you now that is incredible. And I'm not just saying that.
Right. I feel a difference. I feel that the tears have been cleansing, as you have taught me, and but I have questions about the break that we had, and the break in the Assembly and the Senate that they were on, and now I find myself with one last trip that I need to make to Sacramento to try to keep the bill. It's got 2 more steps, and then if this next step next Wednesday goes through, then it goes to the floor for a final, which will be the end of it. It'll either be a done deal, up or down.
Okay. And that bill again is
Senate Bill 131.
SB 131, which if this is the first session that you're listening with Chris, it is a bill that allows...
It's a child sex abuse statute of limitations bill.
Okay.
That will change the age of the statute. The statute right now, the way it's written, is age 26. It will raise the age to 43.
Okay, so right now, if you were abused by someone in the church, you could seek some responsibility up to age 29, and then you have a year to do something about it.
After age 29, you have no time left.
no time left.
No time left.
Okay.
You have no time left. Now it'll be 46.
Okay.
43 plus 3.
Okay.
But there's a donut hole in the bill that effective January 1st, should it become law, that will allow survivors of myself, because I'm 57 years old,
Okay.
and I didn't tell anybody about it until as this, if you've listened to the story, the last 4 sessions, you know from my first one that I didn't tell anybody about this until 1991.
Right, right. And there's many other people who are in your situation. And so one of the blessings that has come out of the darkness is one of your purposes in life is to heal yourself, and also through your healing work on something that will help other people with their healing. And that is one of the jobs that you didn't know that you had.
Right.
That is an important work for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's been on the back burner, I guess, for 1 month while I've been away. And now you're getting ready to go to Sacramento.
If you know, I hope to be in Sacramento next Wednesday.
Okay.
If everything works out.
Right. And if that's where you're supposed to be, that's where you're going to be.
Exactly.
Right. And at that point, it's the next step in deciding whether this bill goes through.
And it's called the Appropriations Committee, and it has to do all about what the cost it's going to take for the state of California to process the lawsuits that are going to come forward as a result of this bill passing.
Got it. Got it. And may I remind you again, take a breath, that whether this bill goes through or not, you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. That trying to manage the outcome is not your job.
No, it's not.
Okay. So as long as you're really clear about that, because we don't want to take a nosedive
No.
if it doesn't pass.
Exactly.
Because you've done everything within your, have I done the best that I can with the time that I have and the resources that I have with respect to this legal effort? Yes.
Yes, I have.
So that's success,
That
no matter what happens.
The Assembly and the Senate know who I am.
There you go.
They have seen me. They have heard from me. I have called them. I have done absolutely everything that I could possibly do, just like I would do if I had a full-time job.
Exactly.
I have.
And you wouldn't have been able to do this had you had a full-time job.
That's right. And there's one thing I would like to say. There's 2 things I would like to say. First of all, I want to apologize to my wife for dragging her into this again.
Okay.
And I want to apologize to my daughter that I think I made a mistake by all the work I did from my home while she watched me do this work. And she's only 18. And I feel
Okay, take a breath. Okay, you're sad, and that's okay. That's normal.
I probably should have gone into my bedroom and closed the door as I was making these calls and reliving this story that happened to me over 40 years ago.
Okay.
And I found that even this morning, before we met, that knowing that I was coming here today, and the process of healing from this and working on this bill, having to bring it up all the time, and as we talked about in the first session about the pit, and getting down into that pit and knowing that I'm not in that pit by myself,
Right.
because I found you, and
not just me.
not just you,
Right.
but with my faith and the support of a lot of people.
And the fundamental spirit of life that is in the core of all of us, that is never leaving you alone,
it's hard to keep bringing this up.
Yeah.
It's really, this morning, it's the first time in probably 2 years that I actually kissed my wife on the forehead before I left my home this morning. And so I want to apologize to both of them for having to keep bringing this up. Because as you told me in the first session, this is the last time we're going to bring this up.
And let's look at that. It's the last time that you bring it up with your critic
Right.
doing the commentary. So as you're bringing it up now with the bill, with the legislative work, okay, in the healing, it still happened, and it was a very painful experience. There's no taking that away. That's why, if you remember, I am sorry, and I continue to be sorry that that happened to you. But I will continue to say to you that it was not your fault.
And I agree with you, and I appreciate the sympathy. At the same time, I don't want to be pitiful on.
Right.
I don't
and
want...
it's not pity. When I say I'm sorry, it's not pity. And I'm glad you brought that up, because when we say I'm sorry, it sounds like we did something wrong, or somehow I'm to be pitied, as you're saying.
Right.
I'm sorry means I'm sorry for the pain that you went through that was no fault of your own.
Okay.
Okay? So when people say I'm sorry, that's the way I want you to choose to receive it.
Okay.
Okay? It's not pity. It is the strongest way to reach out with words to hold your hand and let you put your head on my shoulder. That's what I'm sorry means.
Okay.
Okay? And when you are relating this again and again, because you have to, because of the case,
The circumstances.
right? Are you reliving it with Fred the critic beating you up for what was a lie that you should have told someone, or you should have, or that's the difference. So you're going back in, but you're not going back in the same way.
Right.
So when I'll give you my example. So when I was abused, when I was young, and I was beat, and it hurt, okay, and I can still close my eyes and I can remember what it was like being hit and being chased around with something hitting me with the words "dasani," which is "I'm going to hit you to death." Okay, I can remember that. Now, before, when I remembered that, it was painful. It still has some pain. But then I would just start to lose everything. I would be so sad and so angry that it happened like it happened yesterday, and then I would go into rage and blame and unforgiveness. Okay, because my critic would come in and say, how could that happen? How could someone do that? How could your mother, how could she do that? How could she, that's not what mothers do. How could that have happened? How could people have let that happen? How, la, 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 la. Okay, so then the critic, Rose, takes over, and I'm in that pit.
Right.
And then I can't get out. Okay, so what I'm hoping for is when we went in that last time, that first session, we went into the depths of it and felt all the pain and allowed yourself to feel all the grief and allowed yourself to feel all the normal feelings of being violated, feelings of being hurt, feelings of being abandoned, feelings of being alone. And I was in there with you.
Right.
And then we saw the critic do the number on you to somehow make things even worse by either saying, pull your bootstraps up and quit whining and complaining about this, because it's over and you can't change it, so quit crying.
Right.
Or the other extreme, which is, I'm going to kill somebody. Or the other extreme of, I'm going to fall into this pit of depression and I'm never going to get out and I might as well do myself in. So you experienced all three of those prongs many times before we went in there.
Right.
And you went down all three roads. You told me you tried, thought about committing. That's one arm. Thought about killing yourself on one arm. You thought about killing someone on the other arm. And you thought about, just moving on, which is basically what you've been doing.
Right.
Is moving on and not dealing with it at all.
Well, the question was asked of me, even though I haven't drank for 22 years, and I exposed this in 91. The question was asked of me, after all this therapy and all this work that you've done, why do you have to keep bringing this up? Why does Mr. O, that's what we called him, Richard Allen O'Shaughnessy was known as Mr. O in the confines of the world that I was surrounded in at that time. Why does this always keep coming up? Why can't you put this away? Why can't you move on? Well, I'd like to know why that is. Why can't I move on? Why can't I get past this? Why did I get myself so immersed in this in January that I'm in August and I'm going to Sacramento to fight for what I believe is the right thing to do to allow people like me that have never ever come forward, because men do not come forward and say I was sexually abused by anybody. Through my research of child sex abuse since I started doing this, I have found many things that have gone on throughout the years that have been covered up because of the denial that our society seems to be in about child sex abuse.
Yes.
Nobody wants to talk about
Exactly.
it. Nobody wants to hear about it. It is the most incredible way to piss someone off is to start talking about this issue, and people that I'm talking about that are close to me that have heard it for years and years and years, and they look at me and they go, I am tired of hearing about this. People do not want to hear about this. And I have found, if you want to go there with me, I can tell you about it. But I can say that there is so much denial about child sex abuse that it is sickening to me that this has gone on for so many years.
So do you think you've answered your own question of why am I still talking about this? Why do you think you're still talking about it? Because it needs to be talked about.
It does need to be talked about. And it affected me in so many different ways.
Right. But let's distinguish now. There's at least two ways to talk about this. Because you're talking about it now in a way that is different than the way when we processed it. And my guess is in the way that you did when you first talked about it. When you first talked about it, you were in the grips of the whole pain, shame, and blame.
Right. And now I feel like I'm on the other side of that, and I'm like a warrior that is like an Indian warrior that is painted up and ready to go to battle.
Yes. And that is one of the reasons why you're still talking about it. Because you have to talk about it. If you didn't talk about it, this bill wouldn't be going through. If you didn't talk about it, this wouldn't be happening to help other people heal.
Right. If I don't talk about it, nobody's going to hear about it.
Right. Okay. So, but you yourself know, that balanced part of you realized that there's a time and a place to talk about it.
That's something that you've taught me, and it's something that isn't going to change in me quickly, because I don't know how you undo 40 plus years of a life.
One day at a time. That's all you can do.
Right.
That's all you can do. Now, I'm hoping, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I am hoping that since our first session and going and processing it, you are remembering it as you, and I've heard you talk about it. You're not in the grips of the pain. You're not in the grips of the ego and the critic, so that you're all over the place. You're sticking to the facts. This is what happened. It was not right. And now we need a bill to help people who are remembering past what the current law is, to be able to heal by dealing with it. Okay?
Exactly.
That's the way you're talking about it, which is different than I got screwed up by this guy and he ruined my life and I'm never going to recover from it and I'm never going to be able to have a normal life. Because that's how you came to me with that music under your story. And it wasn't good music.
Right.
Okay. Now we've reframed and took apart and took an 88,000 look at this whole thing called what happened to you and how not dealing with it thoroughly
Right.
has come out and impacted your relationships with yourself and your relationship with other people.
Right.
Okay? So that's what we're working towards. You will have to talk about what happened because you're in the middle of a process that is helping you and other people.
Right.
But the way in which you talk about it and the way in which even now on the air
Right.
and last week on the air is a different way than the first time.
Absolutely. I am not the same person that walked in here on the first session when we went into the pit.
Okay.
I am person.
So can you distinguish between, so I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay.
Why do I still have to do this? Why do I still have to talk about it? Why do I still have to deal with this?
Well, it's really not my question, because I know that for the rest of my life, no matter where I'm at or who I'm with or what the situation might be, there is a time and place for the discussion. But for me, for just Chris Schrader, for forever till I am dust in the wind, I will have this conversation with myself. And if someone ever is in front of me that it's appropriate to talk about, they're going to hear about it. But it's for other people that don't understand what took place and what is going on inside of Chris that keeps the conversation going.
Got it. And here I'm going to give you like the key to freedom. It's not their job to know what you went through. It's not their job to feel what you went through. They never will. And it doesn't mean that they don't love you.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that they don't care about you. But they cannot. No one will ever know how it felt to be violated the way you were. No one.
Right.
No one.
I believe that. And no one will ever know how hard it was for me to keep quiet about it, and what I did to myself to stay quiet about it, and what it took for me to talk about it for the very first time in 1991. And yet, even after 22 years of no alcohol and therapy, and by the blessing of the universe, meeting you and getting to this place that I'm at in this 5th session, where you just said, if you saw me on the 1st session, you would not recognize the person that's sitting in front of you on the 5th session.
Right.
Because you gave me a channel and an avenue to go down I had never had before. And for other people to try to understand that, they will never understand that.
And it's not their job to understand it. So take a breath. This is a big, 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 big root we're going to address right now. This is a big tree, okay? And this is a tree that has kept you in some level of conflict with people because you really just desperately want them to understand. I get it. You just want them to understand. You just want them to feel a smidgen of your pain so that they can connect with you. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now,
I didn't realize that was deep down in where that root is at. And I know by the time we're done, that root will be gone.
Yeah.
It will be gone.
Right.
I know that root is still there.
Okay, so let's look at the root. Okay? I think it's very important for you that people know where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to know and understand exactly where you're coming from. You know that you have good intentions. You know that you're caring. You know that you are generous. Okay? But you, at some level, really don't believe that. And so you are asking other people to see that in you. And so you share and bring up and hit people over the head and force and coerce and manipulate and plead and bargain and yearn for that acknowledgement.
Right.
Do you see that?
Yes.
Take a breath. Chris, I'm speaking to the centered, balanced Chris, okay, who is holding the hand of Fred, who's your critic. And Fred is saying, you really aren't that generous. You really aren't that caring. You really aren't that nice. You really aren't that good of a person. And Fred has been driving your life car. And because he's been driving that car, you keep looking out the window, looking for someone to tell Fred that he's wrong. And that's where the approval seeking comes from. That's where the people pleasing comes from. You are looking for someone to say, Fred, you're wrong. So you go to your wife, you go to your daughter, you go to your friends.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they tell Fred he's wrong. But then sometimes they don't. And they'll agree with Fred. And they'll say, you are a difficult person. You are a selfish person. You are. And then Fred's like, see, told you. See, told you. Or even if they say, you are a giving and a generous person. You'll say to Fred, see? And Fred will say, yeah, but that's just because they want something from you. Or, yeah, but that's not what they said yesterday. They're going to change their mind. So your fundamental argument is with Fred. Your fundamental disagreement is with Fred. So we're going to spend some time right now. The way you dig out this root is you once and for all.
Okay.
Get in the driver's seat and put Fred in the back. Well, let's just put Fred in the passenger seat for now.
Okay.
Okay. If no one ever said anything about what happened to you or said, I can understand how hurt you must be, I want you to say that to yourself. I want you, balanced, centered Chris, to say to Fred and to say to the kid that's inside of you, I know who you are. Say, I know, for Asian woman entrepreneurs. That's AWE, and you can find them online. Just Google Asian Woman Entrepreneurs or AWEUSA.org.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanceliving.com.
And we're back, and welcome. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, a show about hope and happiness 88% of the time. And you are in session 5 of a special series that I've been broadcasting with a client of mine, Chris, who has generously volunteered his sessions to be aired so that anyone else who is in a similar situation who has been abused in the past can heal along with him. So I encourage you to go download the past 4 episodes, as well as this one off of iTunes. Actually, session 4 and 5 will be available on YouTube, so you can actually watch with your visual for the sessions. If you have any friends or family who are in need of a release of past pain, please have them come along. And also, of course, if you've been abused by someone in the church, there is a legislation that Chris has been talking about that you can get involved with. So, welcome back to you, Chris.
Thank you.
We left on break at a very important crossroads where we have identified a root of you that is so ingrained, that so disbelieves the good that you are, it allows you to continue to seek outside approval and outside acknowledgement because it's never enough inside, because you don't believe the good that you are. Because if you believe that the underlying good that you are, you would not need to be constantly told that you're okay by other people. And this is a very common thing. I don't want you to think you're special.
Right.
You are special, but in that way you're not special, because we all seem to have this thing called not enoughness, or not being able to see the good that you are, which allows the internal critic, in your case his name is Fred, to constantly make you feel like you're not good. Okay? So, the Fred energy, we don't want to kill him, okay? But Fred was developed early on, probably when the abuse started, to try to protect you. Okay? But now that same Fred is hurting you, because no matter what you do, and no matter how good you're doing in trying to help other people, you still have this voice inside that says it's not good enough.
Right.
Okay? So, when you get to the point where you can say, Chris, take a breath. Chris, what happened to you hurt?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
It was,
Okay. So
no child should ever have to go through that.
yeah.
Ever.
I want you to say that to yourself.
No.
Okay, this is not for anybody else but for you. I want you to listen to this. Okay, because this is what you are looking for from other people. This is why you talk about the abuse in the way that you do, because you want someone to say this to you. But no matter how they say it to you, you're not receiving it. And so you need it over and over and over again. So this is the time. This is, again, one last time, and we're going to take those words and we're going to visualize them floating into you. So close your eyes and take a deep breath. And I want you to see the words. this was a very painful thing that happened to you as a child. And it was very, very, very painful. And it was very, very unfortunate. And we are doing everything possible to make sure it doesn't happen to other people. So there's two parts to that. One is it did happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was unfortunate. It was painful. And I'm sorry that it happened. I want you to say that to yourself. And I want you to feel those words. And I want you to embrace not the pity in those words. There's no pity in those words. All there is a lot of compassion for yourself. Do you see the words?
I do.
Okay, I want you to see them actually written on like a parchment paper. It looks like scroll paper. Do you see it?
I do. I actually see it on the big screen in my church.
Oh, okay. Well, I want you to take those words. We're going to do a print screen. Do you see it?
I'm going to put it in my journal.
Okay, and we're going to tear that page off of the journal. We're actually going to have those words memorialized on what color is the journal paper?
It's white.
Okay, and what color are the lines?
Black.
And what color is the ink pen?
Black.
Okay, and read me the words that are on that page.
I'm a child, and this should have never happened to me, and this is not my fault. And if you're a child and it happened to you, it should have never happened to you. And I'm going to do everything I can to change my thought process of what happened to me and share with you that you don't have to go through this anymore.
Okay. I want to just amend a couple of little words on there. Okay, so Chris, I'm sorry that this happened to you.
Chris, I'm sorry that this happened to you.
It was painful.
It was painful.
And I wish it hadn't happened to you.
And I wish it hadn't happened to you.
But it did happen to you.
But it did happen.
And now we can take what happened and find the good.
And now we can take what happened and find the good.
Which is to help other people.
Which is to help other people.
Who have been through the same thing.
Who have been through the same thing.
And help them heal.
And help them heal.
Okay. I am healing myself.
I am healing myself.
And I acknowledge that this happened to me.
I acknowledge that this happened to me and that it was not my fault.
Thank you. Okay. This is the strongest voice. This is the practice. This is the partnership that you are making with yourself, that you are giving yourself the validation that you've constantly been begging for from other people.
Okay.
Okay? This is you talking to you and acknowledging you. This is the most important acknowledgement. This is what you've been waiting for. This is what you've been wanting. This is what you've been yearning for, and you're giving it to yourself.
I'll take the gift.
Okay. The piece of paper that says, Chris, you're beautiful. Chris, you're important. Chris, you were a child. Chris, you were violated. Chris, it hurt. Chris, it's going to be okay. Chris, you are healing from this. Chris, you are taking what is horrible and transmuting it into something that is helpful and beautiful. That is the truth. That is the words and the truth that you are giving to yourself. Do you see that? Do you feel it? Do you hear it? This is not from me. This is from you.
I hear it. I feel it. I believe it in my heart.
Oh, good.
In my heart.
Okay.
I believe
those
every
words
word of it.
Are now on the paper. We rolled the paper up into a scroll, and that scroll is going into the box that is in your heart. Do you see it?
It's there.
Okay. Open the lid. What color's the box?
The box is brown.
Good. We're opening the box. We're putting the scroll in. The words are there. The belief is there. The knowing is there. The truth is there. We close the box. We can go into this box at any time. Every time Fred acts up, every time Fred starts telling the story, looking for sympathy, looking for understanding, looking for acknowledgement, you just go, you know what? I need a minute. And you go somewhere and you close your eyes and you take a breath and you get to go into that box and read the scroll.
Right.
Because that's the most important voice.
That's the mantra.
That's the mantra. And it's a love letter.
To myself.
Yes. The self that is spirit, the self that is part of all that is good, the self that is connected to the good in life, the self that is connected to the energy of the spirit, the energy of the universe that is friendly, that by design has had you in this place of healing so that you can help so many other people. We don't wish abuse on anyone. We don't wish abuse on anyone. But we do know that abuse will continue unless we bring it into the light and we heal ourselves, and in doing so, help others heal. And that is the truth. And that I know is the truth. And that is why we're doing the show.
And I can't help or heal anybody else without healing myself first.
Thank you. And that's what you're doing. And you're doing an amazing job.
I was on fire the first week we were here, and I can see that fire slowly extinguishing itself to charcoal and burnt wood.
Yeah. It's a different energy. It's a different energy.
It's not the kind of energy I came in here on the first week. Mm-hmm. And as each week we've done this, and as each day goes by, and I'm able to finally get perspective, positive perspective, mm-hmm. good energy perspective, mm-hmm. and the gift that I was given to be able to be involved in bringing abuse to light.
Mm-hmm. So now
there's no more covering it up.
No. And then let's just further build that muscle. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when do you talk about it? When are you going to talk about it now that we've gone through this exercise? Are you going to talk about it all the time?
No, I'm only going to talk about it when it is appropriate, and if someone for some reason were to share with me that they have gone through something like this, I will be able to say to them when they're done talking, I experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
And
I know your pain.
I know your pain.
I don't know it exactly, but I know some of your pain.
Everyone's pain is different.
Right. But you can be pretty accurate in saying, I know some of your pain, because you do. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you can stop then asking others who have not gone through anything close to this to know your pain, because they can't. So there's the freedom.
Right.
So from this point forward, you don't have to tell the story unless you're asked. And you will be asked as part of this bill.
Right.
And so you're going to have plenty of time
to talk about it. Right. Because I believe in my heart that this bill is going to pass. Mm-hmm. So my story is going to go on for a little longer. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, there's going to be some closure to this.
Yes.
And I look forward to that day. But I don't look forward to it to the point that I'm going to be in denial about it.
Exactly.
And
There's balance
there's
there.
going to be balance there, and it'll be appropriate when the time comes for me to talk about it.
Yep.
And it's not something that I'm going to wear on my face and on my arms and on my chest. And
Because it's only a part of you. It is not all of you. It is definitely part of your purpose on this planet to be able to talk about it so you can help other people. There's no doubt in my mind. But that's not all of who you are.
No, it's not.
But that you can use this to help, because that is one of the parts that makes you unique because of what happened.
Right.
Embrace that part. It's the same with mine. My abuse, I used to think, people used to say to me, look at all that you do and all that you do and all you've accomplished. Aren't you glad that happened to you? And I'd be like, what? I would hope that I could be all of these things and successful without being abused. But I've since gone and looked at that. I am grateful that I got a chance to go through the abuse and out the other side, knowing that one of the reasons I'm on this planet is to do exactly that, to be an example of how you can heal. You don't have to get stuck in the abuse. You don't have to marinate in the abuse.
Right.
And because it happens to so many of us, isn't it great that I have a way of knowing how to heal from that?
Right. I was on the edge of the wilderness when I got here. I'm kind of like still in the middle of the wilderness.
You're only on session 5.
Right. We're still I'm in the middle or part way into the wilderness, but I see the other side of the wilderness, and I'm working hard to get there.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm going to come out the other side of the wilderness.
Yes.
And then I'm going to be so much better.
You are better already.
So much useful, more useful to others once I have gone through the wilderness.
Okay, I want you to take a breath. Okay, I hear a little bit of the achievement-oriented part of you. There's still room to grow. There's still something to do. There's still something to reach for, which is normal and okay and good. Okay, we went through that, but you're really at 88%. And right where you are right now is good enough. Busted, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're golden. Right now, you're golden. You walk and exercise and meditate and are in gratitude and are understanding your side of the street and having better relationships and having a better relationship with yourself. You're having better relationships with other people. You are blah, blah. I mean, there's so many things that are good.
On and on.
Exactly. So let's stay there without saying there's still more to do. Let's just enjoy. Take a breath. Where you are right now.
I am enjoying right where I'm at right now today.
Right. You got a call from a company you interviewed that you had a wonderful interview with. Who knows? It doesn't even matter if you get the job. The fact is they called. You practiced some of the principles in the interview so you didn't go and sabotage yourself. You are better able to communicate with others, knowing when to hold and when to fold, and so you're not vomiting all of your stuff all over. I mean, you're practicing new behavior. You're practicing, you're acting on your own behalf, and you're getting the benefits of that.
And the timing, as it would be, is going to be, the interview is going to be after the last time I need to be in Sacramento. So it's all, there's a plan, I believe that the blueprint of my life is out there.
Yep.
I see a blueprint. I don't know what it really looks like,
It's
But
more will be revealed.
Everything
that's been happening so far is pretty darn good. After the fact, you look back, considering, you came in saying, I don't have a job, I was fired, I wanted to die, all that stuff was a lie. And now when you look back, you can see a very nice looking road that you've been on. And everything happens for a very good reason, for our divine and best good. And that is a great point to leave the 5th session. Take a deep breath. You know what your homework is.
I got it. It was made very clear to me on July 27th.
That's good. The day I got back from Brazil.
It was made very clear to me in about a 30-minute ride.
Good. And that's it for today's show. Next week, I will be, not next week, but next month, I will be continuing with Chris's healing process with session 6 at the end of September. If you identify with Chris and would like to work with me off the air, just contact me confidentially at forbalance.org. I can't wait to balance with you next week on a show from Sunset Gower Studio, www.ubnradio.com, next Tuesday at naturally high noon. Tune in for Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.